Okay, we're back. I got another tool we're going to cover, which I'm really excited about covering as well today, and this is called the Monte Carlo tool. So, Monte Carlo simulation. So, let me grab my mouse here. Okay, so we're on the page, and we go to online tools and quizzes, and you've seen that before, and now you're going to hit the Monte Carlo simulation tool. So when you do that, and like I have said all along for the last sets of tools, there is no data being stored. Okay, so there's absolutely no data being stored. Why do you want this tool? You want this tool because when people give you that estimate, that single point estimate, what you can do is you can use this tool to really help you guide the conversation. Single point estimates barely ever work. That's why we have a PERT analysis. That's why we have a Monte Carlo simulation. And that's why I wanted to create this tool for you. I've been using this type of tool for years and years. I absolutely love it. As a PMO leader, this would be great to really understand where your people's schedules are and what they look like from a duration perspective. We'll add costs a little bit later to this tool, not in this version. And then, of course, as a project manager, when a dev lead, a designer, an architect, a BA gives you a single point estimate, you can run that to this tool as well, and you can course correct your schedule. So let's jump into it. As I said, you hit the PMO online tools and quizzes, you hit Monte Carlo simulation. We just talked briefly about some of the privacy points there. Okay, so it's a very simple, very basic tool. We have an import Excel functionality. We have a download. In the download, if you downloaded that, it's an Excel file. You're going to see task name, resource name, connected task, duration, and start date. Exactly what we see in the manual tasks here. Okay, so let's just do it. Let's not worry about the import and the download. That works. Trust me, you can play with it. But we'll just use a task called task A. Doesn't matter what it is. My name, and then let's use a 5-day most likely. Let's start this task though. Let's start this task on January 6th. Everyone's back. Let's start it there and let's hit add task. Okay, so immediately the first thing that you're seeing is you're seeing the task information. If you want to change any information, you just hit the pencil and you can change that information, okay? So that's awesome. So basically that 5-day task starting on January 5th and going to January 10th, okay? So the same information you plugged is plugged down here, but in this case, what you're seeing is optimistic, most likely, which is the 5-day that you plugged in up above here, and then pessimistic, which is 8 days, and your PERT estimate is 5 days. Okay? So the Monte Carlo simulation will basically take those dates and run that through, in this particular case, 10,000 times. It could be 15,000 times, it could be 100,000 times, it doesn't matter. It's a computer. You can do as much as you want. Okay? So let's just do a quick simulation. We'll run it 1,000 times. When you press the run simulation button, what you get is 30% confidence with 70% risk that you'll hit 6 days when you said 5 days. So what does that tell you? Let's figure out how to read that. First of all, starting on the same date that we said we'd start on, right, which was January 5th, it would go to January 13th, okay? 70% chance of exceeding this duration. So when it does that Monte Carlo simulation 10,000 times, it tells you you have a 70% chance. So the risk is 70%. 70% risk, 70% confidence, 30% risk. 5 days, which is your most likely, ending on January 10th. In this particular case, you have a 30% chance of exceeding this duration. So it's a little bit lower, and then 90% confidence, 10% risk, 4 days. End of January 9th is your end date, 10% chance of exceeding this duration. But what I've done is I actually tweaked this a little bit because I wanted to give you the confidence after running all the simulations. When do you think it's going to come back? And that actually says January 10th, so 5 days. Okay, so for this very basic, very simple example, the math, it all works perfect. It's wonderful. What if we wanted to add another task? So we can do that. We can say task B. We can say Bill or Bob. It doesn't really matter at this particular point. We can say 10 days. And we can say, let's start it let's start it 4 days, 5 days later. We start it here. Now you've got both tasks in there, okay? Both tasks sit here. Again, run the simulation. Now remember, it's 6 days, 5 days, and 4 days. Now you're seeing 17 days, 14 days, and 12 days. Okay? So again, 70% risk, 30% risk, 10% risk. And the PERT analysis, if you just slide this over a little bit, was 15 days. So now you're starting to see when you add more tasks to this, this gets a little bit more complex, but the math is still the same. The math works out perfect. And I'm excited about this because how many times are we just getting single point estimates, and we can clearly see you should be doing Monte Carlo simulations. You should be doing the right set of PERT analysis on each of these tasks to give you your best chance of when it will finish. And again, this has got it finishing at 27 days. So 16 days. Your estimate, your PERT estimate is 15 days. And the other really interesting thing here is it's marked it as the dark purple in this particular case. That's the one that you're most likely going to hit. So you've got a confidence level here. It ran at 908 times. This one at 1,078 times. This one it ran 1,215 times. And this one it ran at 1,270 times. What do you think? Isn't that awesome? So as a PMO leader, you're going to very, very quickly be able to suck in your project schedules from your resources and run this PERT analysis or this Monte Carlo simulation and see exactly how people are tracking. I hadn't added the cost just yet to that. Certainly something I can add down the line. But at this point, really, really excited about sharing this. Love for you to check it out. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you online. Thanks.